everybody. Welcome to ABA Inside Track, the podcast that's like reading in your car, but safer. I almost forgot how to introduce this episode 51 preview. Hi, I'm your host, Robert Perry Cruz, and with me, as always, are my fabulous co-hosts.
Hey, it's Diana.
It's Jackie. You forgot because we're over the hill now. 51.
51,
Oh, yeah.
I know. So many of these. So for those of you who might be new to the show, ABA Inside Track is a podcast in which we discuss behavior analysis and research related to a given topic. And in between these full-length discussions, we have these little previews so you can get to know what it is we'll be discussing, because we really love it when our listeners have a chance to read the research themselves in case we forget something. It's a lot of research to talk about on these episodes. And then also to share some updates from our Facebook page, or if we've had some interesting emails from the behavior analytic community, specifically the ones that would listen and bother to email us. So our topic this week and next week is going to be ethics in social media, which is a hot... What?
Sorry, I just sneezed.
Oh, you just sneezed. Okay. I thought you were laughing at me. I was like, is that not what we're talking about?
I sneezed, but I went back because I didn't want to sneeze on you.
Oh, that's fine. Sorry, we've had some technical snafus. We're getting a little punchy as we go into our recording for tonight. So we'll be talking about ethics in social media. Dan, you want to say your thing about what it means if I use the word ethics in talking about our topic?
That is an ethics episode.
Ethics.
Yes. Though, for those of you who did not know, we also provide continuing education credits for listening to the show, meaning that next week's episode will be for ethics, continuing education. And I think social media, we all kind of agree, it's something that's ubiquitous, but how do we use it? What should we not use it for? And there's not a lot of research out there kind of giving great guidelines. You know,
Right.
I think it's sort of don't post things, don't put people's names, don't take pictures of yourself when you're drunk at a party. But there's really a lot more to the idea of what it means to sort of live in our social media age and what it means as a professional in that age.
Right.
So we picked some articles we thought really kind of had a nice overview of where we are and what we know and what we can take from what little research there is out there. So we've got 4 articles that we'll be discussing. The first is Blurred Lines, Ethical Implications of Social Media for Behavior Analysts by O'Leary, Miller, Olive, and Kelly. That's from Behavior Analysis and Practice 2017. It's hot off the presses. Woo. The next is Online Professionalism and the Mirror of Social Media by Grayson, Kind, and Chretien from the Journal of General Internal Medicine 2010.
That sounds intellectual.
Really, we're going beyond. We're through the
Deep
looking
cut.
glass, people. It's Your Own Risk. Medical Students' Perspectives on Online Professionalism by Chretien, Goldman, Beckman, and Kind from Academic Medicine 2010. And then finally, Digital Communication and Records in Service Provision and Supervision, Regulation and Practice by Cavalari, Gillis, Kruser, and Romanczyk from Behavior Analysis and Practice 2015.
I can't wait for that one. I think that's going to be a good relearn.
I think they talk about HIPAA.
Yeah, that's
I hear
important.
HIPAA, I get scared. I'm like, oh, I've done something wrong. Emails? I don't know.
I know. It'll be good. I think it'll be good to go over all that stuff.
Yeah.
Excellent. So that'll be our full length topic for next week. But in the meantime, why don't we move into the errata segment of the show, where originally we had that in case people found things that we did wrong, but then mostly we found people who just write nice things or interesting things about their careers as behavior analysts or thoughts on the episodes. And also it gives us a chance to share some of the Facebook posts that we've put on our Facebook page that we really enjoyed and wanted to make sure to share and shout out a little bit more.
Yeah, one of them that we put on was an excerpt from Sunday Morning. So Sunday Morning is a show on CBS.
Is it like Young Sheldon or The Big Bang Theory?
No. I think it's like a news. It's like, I think you earlier likened it to a Sunday newspaper.
A Sunday newspaper.
Sunday newspaper. So it's not just all news.
Arts and leisure.
Yeah, there's like activities. They talk about musicians sometimes. They talk about interesting things, not just what's going on, in the world of politics. It's on 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on CBS. And it's followed by Face the Nation, which sounds like a scary show. Anytime
It does sound like a scary show.
Face the Nation. Anytime it comes on, I'm like, no, and I turn the TV off really fast. But yeah, so they had a good excerpt on Sunday Morning today on February 11th for the growing acceptance of autism in the workplace. And it was a whole excerpt about how it's really difficult to get a job in this day and age, and especially if you have a diagnosis of an autism spectrum disorder, because interviewing requires really pretty strong social skills.
Yeah.
And if you're missing, some of those social skills, you may not move forward in the interview process, even though you could very well do the job. And so the whole excerpt was on how it may not be useful to go through that interview process. It may be more useful to just show how you could perform the job. And because a lot of the jobs that they're talking about in this excerpt were like high-tech computer jobs. And performing well in an interview is not going to really be correlational to how you would perform in the job site, right?
Right, yeah.
So it's all about, so they started this Autism at Work program a few years ago in Silicon Valley to look for people that may not necessarily have the strongest social skills but would really perform well in these high-tech jobs where you need to look very critically in at minute details. So it was pretty interesting. If you guys want to look it up, it's on our Facebook page. And what I found was really interesting was the Chief Accessibility Officer at Microsoft. Her name is Jenny Leigh Fleury, and she's profoundly deaf. And she communicates by lip reading and through the use of an interpreter. And so she started this hiring program for Microsoft in 2015, actually. So because she saw the growing need of all these really, detail-oriented jobs and said, hey, there might be a subset of the population that would do really well in these jobs, and we're just not finding them through our traditional interview process. So it's
That's
cool.
so cool.
That's
great.
So you could check it out. It's on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent.
I would also like to skip the interview process.
I got a kind of a pro tip. Like a pro tip. This is for everybody out there without disability. You've probably done some work related to the job you are actually applying for, whether it's something you did in grad school, whether it's something that you have done under supervision as you've been, getting ready to sit for your certification exam, if you're applying for a BCBA job. First of all, when you write something or make something really good, spend a little bit of time to say, how can I make sure this isn't going to have identifying information in it so that you can sort of have on hand a nice template. So it's nice to have a template to save yourself the trouble of writing the same couple things over and over again.
Right.
It's an individualized report or an individualized process, but at the same time, some of the portions are going to be the same. But then you have something
Formatting.
to show. Yeah, formatting. Don't get me started. I save my tables. Once I make one good table, I save that forever because I don't want to redo the margins. But anyway, you make something really good. You take out that anything that will identify, who it was.
Certainly.
Right.
And then you've got something really nice that when someone in the interview committee asks you, so have you ever done a functional analysis? Have you ever written a program about math? Instead of just going, yes, I have.
I'm real good at that.
You actually can say, I haven't. Here's an example of it. And ooh and ah. You're going to be a shoo-in. And send a thank you note. Always send a thank you note after an interview.
Yeah, I love thank you notes.
Follow these 2 steps and you will get every job. That's a guarantee. That's not a guarantee. But it will help your chances.
It really will.
It's a Rob pro tip.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Rob.
Pro tip with Rob.
All right. And Diana, you had an email you wanted to share.
I did. Hang on.
A listener email.
Yeah, so I had an email. This was from listener Kim, and she wrote to us. Initially, she wrote to us we were talking back and forth about a CE that she was ordering, but it was missing some information, and she said, my cat must have stepped on the keyboard and hit send, which I thought was funny, so I wrote her back about that.
So then I wrote back, you're lying to me, and really accusatory, right?
No, of course not. And then she responded and said, yes, if you knew my cat, then you would not question that they had done this. She said she had to consult a cat behaviorist regarding her cat, and then she gave some details about what her cat was doing. She said that cat had major pica. It would eat clothing, paper towels, tissues, cords, and computers.
Wow.
He would engage in food stealing right out of your hand like a bandit. That he was on all the counters. He shopped in the fridge every time you opened it. He knew how to open every drawer and cabinet in the house.
I love this cat.
Oh my God.
And he also taught himself how to open one of those Tupperware lids that has the snaps on the side.
Wow.
He could undo
It's a
the
smart
snaps
cat.
himself.
Can't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, definitely super smart. So she said that she developed with the cat behaviorist a behavior intervention treatment plan for her cat, and he's doing much better now. So he still has a fresh side, but he is a tolerable roommate now and such a little cuddle bug that he redeems himself.
I
So
love
I just
that.
loved that, and thank you, Kim, for
Thanks,
sharing your adventures with your cat.
Aw.
It was a good story.
That is really good.
So if you would like to share or write to us at ABA Inside Track, you could do so by writing at abainsidetrack@gmail.com. You can also comment or message us on our Facebook page or on Twitter. We also have our website, abainsidetrack.com, and we also have our YouTube channel where we post these videos. These are also on Facebook, and these also come down out as a podcast. If you just want to hear the podcast or the full-length episodes, that's fine too. You can get those on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast. So please give us a listen and maybe subscribe and like and all that jazz, all that social media stuff that we'll be talking about next week. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for listening and watching. Diana and Jackie, thank you guys both so much for being here.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
It was a pleasure for me to be here.
It was a pleasure to be here. We'll be back next week with our full-length episode, but until then, keep responding. Bye!